have always loved to learn new things when it came to my academics. My love for my subjects has never been limited to school textbooks, and I'm sure it's the case for many children from humble backgrounds. However, in their curriculums, rote learning is ubiquitous and it takes away the thrill of the subject. My project started out with me stopping after school and asking anybody and everybody about their children. They seemed intrigued at my curiosity, and I tended to deviate from this set list of questions that I had prepared. This is because the very first person that I interviewed, a security guard, gave ambiguous answers, hinting that he was quite oblivious about the details and problems that his two daughters faced in school. Upon inquiring with four other people, I saw that this was a pattern. I also became cognizant about how the parents of such children haven't had a proper education, but would like to have an involvement with their children's studies. And I wanted to seal these two gaps by using some creative techniques and my passion for my subjects, and hopefully fuel the same in these children. At this point, I had already done some secondary research and identified rote learning as the problem I wanted to solve. So I tried to look for a connection between these two dilemmas and came up with what looked like a complicated yet effective problem statement that summed them up. I would like to read my problem statement now. 43% of children today study in poverty, especially the women, of which 514 million don't have basic literacy skills. LEDCs don't have the stock to provide productive jobs to its locals, causing the involvement in STEM fields to be only 35%, and youngsters having an exiguous remuneration in the future. Unfortunately, 87% of their parents face barriers when it comes to giving time, and 40% of them don't have basic education to help their children if they face any challenges. Moreover, decent teachers in public schools aren't remunerated well, so they move to private institutions. This has left 3.74 lakh vacant teacher posts in public schools, which leaves the teacher to student ratio at 100:1. This results in children having to self-study and rote learn, which could make them lose interest in the subject. And this could end up with them not having skills for a proper job in the modern workplace, and exiguous income, and eventually intergenerational transmission of poverty. Okay, so then after multiple sessions with Ms. Tana Peck, I had a basic draft for Project Kareeb. The simplicity of this name would be useful for anyone associated with this project to understand. It had a clear and direct meaning, and I chose it by taking inspiration from Tana Mrs. personal community outreach project called Project Cull. Kareeb means closer. The goal of my project will be to bring the parents Kareeb to their children's education, and the children Kareeb to what they're passionate about. Consequently, we began our online fieldwork session with the Inky Lab students. I made myself familiar with their hobbies and personalities in the first session where we were called to observe. This helped me the next time because I got to work with incredibly independent students like Varun and optimistic ones like Simran. We worked on their personal presentations, and it gave me an extensive insight to the problems they faced in school. Adding them up with my primary offline research, I had a list of reflections and I refined it with great help from our mentor, Anuradha Miss. The main reflections included most government schools use rote learning and other complicated learning methodologies and don't help ignite a passion for the subjects in the children. This could lead to lack of focus on schoolwork and they could face problems. All 5 parents I had spoken to were oblivious about the subjects and the problems of their children. And the issue is oftentimes when you don't take an in-depth interest in your children's education, they tend not to face their issues head on and get distracted unless they get a motivation or push from their parents, most of whom appear to be in the dark about these issues. With all this freshly collected information and expertise of Mandeep and Tanamis, I selected specific subjects to include in the teaching program, which is English language and digital literacy. Grammar and fluency in speech and writing was a problem I noticed when talking to some of the students, and coherence in English is a requirement for most modern jobs. So to at least set a basic foundation in 6 to 8 weeks was the goal. I decided this was an apt subject Digital literacy is also an important skill that gives competitive edge to the employees. So teaching youngsters about it will both be a necessity and an important tool to possess in the future. I will be conducting this program in the spring or summer of 2023. My classes will stretch about 6 to 8 weeks long for each subject having 2 classes per week, followed by 1 weekend assignment for students to revise their content. Furthermore, to tackle the dilemma that is parent-child communication in academics, um, I will request the parents of the children in the program to conduct 2 sessions with me, one before the start of Project Kareeb and one after. This can help me chart the progress of the parents in diminishing this communication barrier and get personal interviews with them to help me along with my potential research paper. Along with this, I will be modifying the website and getting it published with the Canva domain. I do hope the parents of these students will be compliant, and I will try persuading them to join in because their involvement will only ameliorate their child's school experience. And the future scope will be I will run English language classes and I will run the digital literacy classes and propose engrossing methodologies of teaching them and stemming an ardent approach of students from humble backgrounds to learn these 2 subjects. I want to help convey those issues to their respective parents and help the parents retain the communication so that they can be more involved in their children's education. I want to give small assignments to the students to help understand their weaknesses and observe which method they most respond to so that they can choose that as an alternative to rote learning. Interacting with parents and explaining to them the necessity of being active in their child's education and helping them with all the right questions they can ask their children's teachers. The stakeholders of the project team will be the students at government school and their parents. And finally, I would like to write a research paper based on primary and secondary research done throughout the project. I would like to take a few final seconds of everyone's time to personally thank Nafisat Miss, Mandeep Miss, Tana Miss, and Anuradha Miss, and everybody else who helped me in this program, because this opportunity has made me realize problems that I was oblivious to before. So thank you.